This is the end for you. What are you doing? Open this door, please. And what do you mean by the end? I just flipped the breaker downstairs. The elevator won't work now, and you're stuck on the second floor. What? Why would you do that? I'm supposed to leave for a 7-night trip with my friends. What about Mom? She's stuck upstairs. Stop kidding around and open the door. I could open it, but you won't be able to get downstairs. Your phone and laptop are down there too, so no calling for help. Dad's away on business for 3 months. Looks like you're in a bind. My stepdaughter Emily had actually stranded me, a wheelchair user, on the second floor so she could go on her trip. This was beyond disrespectful. A week later, when Emily returned home, she noticed something was off as she climbed the stairs. Why are you so cheerful? It was clear Emily didn't understand the gravity of the situation, so I decided to teach her a lesson. This would likely be my final teaching moment as her mother, so I explained patiently. My name is Jennifer. I'm a 34-year-old programmer, just an ordinary person with a job, a marriage, and kids. But there's one thing that sets me apart. I've been in a wheelchair since a traffic accident in middle school. When it happened, I was unconscious for 3 days and bedridden for treatment. It took me a while after waking up to realize that my legs weren't working anymore. My mom had to break the news to me. Mom, when can I start rehab? I want to get back to playing basketball soon. If I take too long, I might lose my spot on the team. The doctor will have more to say, but the truth is, I spent the whole day crying after my mom told me the harsh reality. It must have been so difficult for her, and she cried with me all day. But my tomboyish, spirited nature helped me bounce back quickly. What's done is done. Now it's about what comes next. Life in a wheelchair was challenging, but not as daunting as I have feared. Over 20 years have passed since the accident, and I've adapted so well that it surprises people. I still have enough upper body strength to manage things on my own, like using the bathroom if I try. I found a job with a company that understands my needs, and I work mainly from home. I go into the office a couple of times a month for meetings, driving myself in a specially adapted vehicle that I can operate with my hands. Sometimes on weekends I just go for drives. In my 20s, I even enjoyed playing wheelchair basketball. There have been hurdles, but overall, I'm content with my life. And I even found love and got married, something I once thought might not be possible because of my disability. Does this setup work for you? Your parents' house seemed more elaborate. That was just my parents going all out because they weren't sure what I'd need. This is plenty for me. We just need to get a lift installed for the stairs. I'm not exactly handy with installations. Looks like we'll have to wait for the professionals. Last year, I married Kevin, who is 7 years older than me. Our meeting wasn't particularly dramatic. It was just your typical workplace romance. After tying the knot, Kevin and I rented a house and made it wheelchair accessible with permission. For us, wheelchair accessible meant practical adjustments like portable ramps and handrails, with the major addition being a rail lift for accessing the second floor. And so began our sweet newlywed life, or so we thought. I'm back, Jennifer. What's cooking? Weren't you with your mom today? Didn't you have dinner there? She mentioned having some errands and left early. Oh dear, you should have told me if you needed dinner. You know I always say that. My bad. Kevin, my husband, is divorced and has an 18-year-old daughter, Emily, who's currently in college. I've known Emily since before Kevin and I married, and we get along well. She calls me Jennifer. Emily also has a good relationship with Kevin's ex-wife, Mindy, meeting her occasionally and addressing her as Mom. Despite potential challenges like my disability or dynamics with Emily, our family life seemed to begin smoothly. Little did I know, trouble was brewing behind the scenes. About a year into our marriage, Emily, who had always been friendly, started becoming increasingly distant, barely engaging in conversation. Welcome back. Are you hungry? Dinner's almost ready. No, I'm good. When Emily returned home, she would head straight to her room on the second floor, rarely emerging. Since I rely on the lift to go upstairs and it's often inconvenient, my life revolves around the first floor. I'd only make the trip upstairs about once a month to retrieve clothes or items from storage. For Emily, avoiding me on the second floor seemed like a convenient escape. I couldn't fathom why my daughter had grown distant. I even discussed it with Kevin. Did I do something to upset Emily? You can't think of anything, can you? No, I can't. We were so close before, even when we first moved into this house. She talks to me the same as always. Why this sudden change? It wasn't sudden. It started about a month after we moved in here. Maybe living with me upset her. I doubt it. She's known about your disability since before we got married. Kevin and I were baffled, unable to understand why Emily's behavior has shifted. Without knowing the cause, we struggled to address it. I attempted to talk to her, but it seemed that approach didn't yield any positive results. Oh, you're home early today. I only had 2 classes. Can we talk for a moment? I stopped Emily just as she was about to go upstairs. What is it? Emily turned to me with a mix of frustration and indifference. I couldn't quite read her emotions, but her irritation was evident. We haven't been talking much lately. Is something going on at college, or is it something between us? If something's bothering you, you can talk to me. Don't try to be a mom, it's annoying. Emily muttered and headed upstairs. I was stunned, finding it hard to believe she had said something so hurtful. I tried to reassure myself that it might have been a misunderstanding. That night, I discovered the reason behind Emily's cold behavior and discussed it with Kevin. It seems like I'm the reason, she said. Don't act like a mom, it's annoying. What? Emily said that. Kevin was visibly upset, prompting a family meeting. After explaining my side of the story, Kevin loudly called for Emily from the bottom of the stairs. Reluctantly, she came to the living room with a sullen expression and took a seat. Emily, Jennifer told me you said something hurtful to her. Why would you say that? Jennifer, you're not my mom. You're just a stepmom to me. Isn't that how you treat a stepmom? How could you say that? Kevin, please don't start yelling. If Kevin lost his temper now, we wouldn't be able to hear Emily out and resolve the issue. Despite feeling hurt by being called a stepmom, I urged Kevin to stay calm. He composed himself and continued. Why would you suddenly start saying that? You never used to. I've been thinking about it. It's weird. Dad divorced Mom and married you within a year. You must have been having an affair with Jennifer while still married, right? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. I've known Jennifer for over 10 years. We worked together. That's why we got married quickly. And about the affair, Dad was always busy with work and Mom was often lonely. Maybe the divorce was partly your fault too, Dad. Emily, Kevin's a busy software engineer. His work supports our family. Shut up. It's all your fault. You've ruined our lives. Emily slammed the table with a loud bang, then swiftly left the living room. I couldn't understand why she held such beliefs, thinking I had stolen her father from his ex-wife. I think I understand the reason now. Let's leave it at that for today. Emily seems to have a misunderstanding. Jennifer, just keep your distance from Emily for now. I'll try to clear up her misunderstanding. I decided to trust my husband's judgment and let him handle it. Despite his efforts to explain things to Emily, she became increasingly resistant. Why are you so distant with your mom? Why do you keep clinging to that stepmom role? Just divorce already. What's the reason for your dislike? It's her very presence as a stepmom. Whenever Kevin talked to her daughter, she would confront me when he wasn't around. You asked Dad to talk to me, didn't you? Don't think you can get away with this just because he's on your side. That's not true. How can I believe anything from you who took Dad from Mom? Emily kicked the laundry basket in frustration. Here's a revised version of the segment. I struggled to gather the clothes scattered by Emily's deliberate kick, knowing my mobility issues made it difficult to reach them. She seemed satisfied watching the laundry fly further as she went upstairs. While I did my best to pick up what I could, my husband would reprimand our daughter, who would then take it out on me. This painful cycle had become routine, but to mend my daughter's misunderstandings, we needed to keep communicating, so this pattern seemed destined to continue. Just as I prepared to handle Emily with patience, my husband's long business trip was unexpectedly scheduled. I'm sorry to leave you two alone with this unresolved. It's work, it can't be helped. Maybe the company thinks I'm tough enough to handle it. If anything, I should apologize to you. It's alright if we have to delay resolving things with Emily for 2 or 3 months. I smiled as I saw my husband off, not wanting him to worry more than necessary. Despite my concerns about being alone with Emily for 3 months, there hadn't been any physical altercations, so I tried not to be overly anxious. That's what I thought, until my daughter's behavior quickly escalated once my husband left the house. 3 days after my husband left for his business trip, I noticed something out of place. Why is the picnic blanket here? Emily must have used it, but it seems she's left. Deciding to tidy up, I took the picnic blanket upstairs to the storage room. As I ascended, I heard the front door open. Oh, is Emily back already? Curious but focused on my task, I placed the blanket inside the storage room. Suddenly, the door slammed shut. This is the end for you. What are you doing? Open this door. Realizing I had fallen into Emily's trap, I found myself locked in from the outside, unable to move the door from my wheelchair. Fortunately, the storage room didn't have a lock, so she couldn't keep me trapped forever. What do you mean by the end for me? I'll open it soon, but first, just listen to me. I don't want to see your face, and you move surprisingly quickly for someone in a wheelchair. She had locked me in to prevent any confrontation. Given my background in basketball, I understood her caution, but her decision wasn't very wise apart from that. Do you think I'm going to harm you? What do you mean by the end? I just turned off the breaker downstairs. Now the elevator won't work and you can't get down from the second floor. What? Are you serious? I'm leaving on a 7-night trip with my friends. I'll let you out in a week. Enjoy being stuck on the second floor, stepmom. Stop this nonsense. Open the door. I could, but you can't get down by yourself. Your phone and computer are downstairs, and Dad will be back from his business trip for 3 months. It looks pretty hopeless. Why are you doing this? Because you stole Dad from Mom. Just get a divorce, and then Mom can have Dad back. She even broke up with her boyfriend, thinking Dad would come back to her. If she knew Dad's feelings, Kevin would never go back to Mindy because... What do you know? Good luck surviving. Her footsteps hurried away, and when I opened the storage room door, she was gone. Stepping into the hallway, I headed towards the stairs. Passing by Emily's room, I noticed a board about 8 inches high fixed at the bottom of her door. It allowed the door to open slightly but blocked my wheelchair from entering. Emily had cleverly trapped me on the second floor while maintaining her privacy. As I reached the stairs, I discovered a few pieces of bread and a bottle of water on the floor, likely left there to ensure I wouldn't go hungry or thirsty. While tap water could keep me hydrated, the meager amount of bread clearly wouldn't suffice for a week. It was evident that Emily was serious about her intent to isolate and inconvenience me. This has gone too far. Determined to teach Emily and whoever else was behind this a harsh lesson, I waited patiently for a week. When Emily returned from her trip, I observed her quietly as she removed her shoes at the entrance. Keeping out of sight at the back of the room, I watched as she entered the house and glanced around, sensing that something was different. The stair lift was on the first floor, and there were unfamiliar shoes at the entrance. However, Emily, oblivious to these details, felt a vague unease but couldn't pinpoint its cause. As usual, she hurried upstairs, unaware of what had transpired in her absence. Following quietly behind her, I heard her exclaim halfway up the stairs. "Why are you here?" "Shall I explain?" "What? How are you doing this?" Emily was startled to see me peeking from the storage room and even more taken aback when I spoke from behind her. She stared at me wide-eyed, trying to comprehend the unexpected turn of events. "You're not starving at all." "Of course not. You might have thought you trapped me on the second floor, but that wasn't much of a trap." "But didn't you turn off the breaker for the stair lift?" "The lift is battery-powered, so it works even when the breaker is off. It's designed for power outage situations." "Then, yes, right after you left for your trip, I used the lift to go downstairs. Even if it hadn't worked, I could have called for help from a window. And as for the breaker, I have a stick I used to reset it, so no issues there. By the way, thanks for the bread. It made a nice snack." Emily had grown distant from me about a month after moving in. Because she kept her distance early on, she never fully understood the extent of my mobility challenges. Even after living together for a year, she didn't fully grasp how the stair lift operated. As soon as she left for her trip, I promptly went downstairs as usual and called Kevin to inform him of the situation. When Emily learned that I wasn't starving, she quickly noticed Kevin standing near the storage room door, shocked and shouting, "Why is Mom here? And why is she sitting like that? What's going on?" "I'll explain everything." Kevin had been standing there the whole time, but Emily was so surprised to see her mother and me together that she hadn't noticed him. "Dad, why are you here? Aren't you on a business trip?" "It's not an overseas trip. It's Sunday, and I'm off work today. It's not unusual for me to be home," he explained calmly. Emily's naive question seemed to momentarily perplex my husband. At 19, with only part-time job experience, she assumed a long-term business trip meant he couldn't return home often. However, his trip was just a 3-hour drive away, and he planned to visit home every 2 weeks. Today, he had returned earlier than scheduled due to Emily's antics. "I've heard from your mother about the trouble you've been causing and suggesting divorce," Kevin said firmly. "Yes, it's all because of this fake mom. If she wasn't here, Mom and Dad could get back together. I'm never divorcing Jennifer, and I won't remarry Mindy." "Why not?" "The reason for the divorce might have been Mom's affair. But wasn't it also because you were always working? Besides, Mom can't forget about you. She's regretted her affair and ended it, waiting for you." My husband and I exchanged a sigh. Mindy, unable to bear the tension, had her head bowed, staring at the floor. "Mindy, explain it yourself." "That's why I brought you here," Kevin urged. "Yes, the affair wasn't because of your work. It was just me enjoying playing around with other men, Mindy confessed, finally breaking her silence. Lies, right? You told me Dad's affair was because of his work, and you left the other man because you couldn't forget about Dad. It's not like that. I was dumped again because of my infidelity. I've always had low income from part-time jobs. Now in my 40s, I can't find a new job or catch a new man. Struggling financially, I thought of reconnecting with Kevin for support, but then I found out he had remarried. So you fed Emily lies about Dad having an affair with Jennifer even before the divorce, trying to disrupt our lives and set the stage for a divorce? Yes, that's true. When Emily locked me upstairs, Mandy had expressed her desire to remarry Kevin. Upon hearing this from me, Kevin immediately contacted Mindy. Confronting her, it became evident that she had been manipulating Emily. The quickest way to dispel Emily's misconception that I stole Kevin from Mindy was to have her hear the truth directly from Mindy herself. Therefore, Kevin arranged for Mindy to be at the house when Emily returned from her trip. What? So I was deceived by Mom? It appeared that Mindy orchestrated the deception while Emily was unwittingly drawn into it. However, regardless of being deceived, Emily had clearly crossed a serious line, prompting Kevin to take a firm stance. Mindy is at fault for deceiving you, but your actions went too far. Locking your mother upstairs and attempting to isolate her was unacceptable. Even if the lift had not worked, you could have been charged with unlawful confinement. What do you mean? I was tricked. Even if you were deceived, your actions were extreme. If the lift hadn't worked, you could have faced serious legal consequences for false imprisonment. This wasn't just a prank. Emily, you're not a child anymore. Emily's actions did not legally constitute unlawful confinement since the lift functioned, but her intent to confine me was concerning and could have resulted in severe consequences. This is outrageous. I'm only 19. Kicking me out before I even turned 20 is unreasonable. Legally, you're an adult at 18. Parental responsibilities have ended. You're not a child who can be indulged anymore. What do you mean? I'm still a student and can't do anything, and yet I'm considered an adult? That's the law. If you have a problem with it, take it up with the government. We'll support your college tuition until you graduate, but you need to manage your own living arrangements and expenses. That's impossible. Can't I go live with Mom? She'll take care of me, right? I can't. I'm struggling financially and tried to use you to get help. I can't possibly take care of you. Regardless of what the law says, I still feel like a child. Parents should take responsibility for deceiving me. Rejected by Kevin, Emily had no choice but to turn to her mother, Mindy, who was also in difficult financial circumstances. While she could have reached out to Kevin, Mindy, or their grandparents, none lived near her university. Understating her limited options, Emily had to rely on Mindy. I can at least stay in the house. If you move in, I'll end up having to cover your living expenses, right? I see where this is headed. I'm not like you. No, you're just like me. You're my daughter, after all. An unpleasant, self-deprecating argument unfolded in front of us. I wish they would stop arguing in someone else's home. Excuse me, could you take this discussion somewhere else? Emily and Mindy left the house without saying a word. It felt somewhat pitiful, but Kevin was right. Emily was no longer a child. Her actions could have put my life in danger under different circumstances. Helping her understand the seriousness of her actions is also a parent's responsibility. I watched them leave, hoping for Emily's growth in the future. Ultimately, Emily moved in with Mindy, who lived in a small, inexpensive apartment due to financial constraints. Living with Mindy meant a cramped environment with little privacy. Mindy asked Emily to contribute towards rent and utilities from her earnings at a part-time job since Kevin only supported her tuition. However, as a student, her ability to work was limited and most of her income went towards basic living expenses, leaving little for social activities. It must be challenging for her at an age where socializing is crucial. She may even lose friends due to being unable to participate. However, this is a consequence she must accept due to her actions. With Emily gone, Mindy's life eased slightly with financial support from her daughter. However, instead of securing a full-time job, she continued with part-time work. Frustrated by financial strain, Emily frequently argued with her. You should find a full-time job, not just part-time. Are you planning to stop contributing once I earn more? Money became a frequent point of contention between them. Kevin remains open to supporting Emily if she shows remorse, but that seems distant. As a couple, Kevin and I have entered a new phase. Despite being married for over a year, it feels like a fresh start, and we're relishing our time together.